In a shocking turn of events at a solemn military funeral, a racially prejudiced police officer made a drastic decision that would alter his life forever. As mourners gathered to pay their respects, this officer brazenly drew his weapon and aimed it at a distinguished army general, sparking outrage and a national scandal. The repercussions were swift and severe, leading to a life sentence for the disgraced officer, underscoring a zero-tolerance stance against racial discrimination and misconduct. Witness the full dramatic confrontation and its aftermath on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like for more compelling stories like this. As the morning mist dissipates over Arlington National Cemetery, the scene is set for a solemn tribute under a somber sky. The vast expanse of the cemetery is filled with meticulously aligned tombstones, creating an atmosphere of reverence and remembrance. Today, it hosts the funeral of Colonel Benjamin Strauss, a revered military leader whose sudden death in a training accident has brought together a diverse crowd of military personnel and civilians, all united in their grief and respect. The ceremony begins with the haunting melody of a military bugle, playing taps in the distance. This sound, evocative and poignant, sets the tone as the camera pans across the faces of the attendees, weathered veterans, young cadets with solemn expressions, and grieving family members clutching each other for comfort. Each person is touched by the gravity of loss, their eyes reflecting a shared sorrow. At the heart of the assembly, a casket draped in the American flag is the focal point, surrounded by an honor guard in crisp, dark uniforms. Their movements are precise, a ballet of discipline and respect that underscores the sanctity of the occasion. General Michael Thompson, a distinguished figure in the military community and a contemporary of the deceased, approaches the podium to deliver the eulogy. His uniform, adorned with ribbons and medals, speaks of his own battles and victories. As he steps up, the crowd's attention is drawn to his commanding presence. General Thompson clears his throat, preparing to speak words of honor and remembrance for his fallen comrade. However, before he can begin, the quiet murmur of the crowd is shattered by a disturbance at the periphery of the gathering. Officer John Richards, known for his controversial views on military policies and his history of disciplinary issues within the police force, makes an unexpected appearance. His entrance is disruptive, his heavy boots thudding against the soft earth, drawing startled looks and whispers. Richards, clad not in a uniform but in a stark, black trench coat, moves through the crowd with a determined stride. His face is set, eyes narrowed and jaw clenched, as he makes his way toward the front. His presence is incongruous with the ceremonial decorum, and tension begins to ripple through the assembly. As Richards advances, the expressions of the military personnel subtly shift from mourning to alertness. Their training kicks in, preparing them for any threat that might arise. General Thompson, spotting Richards, subtly signals to his aides to remain vigilant but non-confrontational, hoping to avoid escalating the situation. Despite the underlying tension, General Thompson begins his eulogy, his voice resonant and steady. He speaks of Colonel Strauss's valor and the profound impact of his leadership. Yet, as he recounts tales of bravery and sacrifice, Richards reaches a position directly in front of the podium. He stands rigid, his hand inching towards an object concealed beneath his coat, his intentions unclear but ominous. The camera focuses on Thompson's eyes, which, despite his composed exterior, reveal a flicker of concern as he continues to speak. The wind picks up, rustling through the rows of uniforms and flags, mirroring the growing unease. Just as Thompson reaches a poignant part of his speech, emphasizing the need for unity and peace within the ranks, Richards's actions come to a head. With a swift movement, he pulls out a handgun, aiming it directly at Thompson. The crowd gasps, frozen in shock, as the scene cuts to a tense standoff, with Richards's finger on the trigger and Thompson's words echoing across the hushed cemetery. The air is thick with suspense, the solemnity of the occasion now overshadowed by a palpable sense of danger, setting the stage for the unfolding drama that will test the resilience and courage of all present. As the standoff at Arlington Cemetery intensifies, every second feels stretched, the air charged with a palpable tension. Officer John Richards, his gun still aimed at General Michael Thompson, stands as a stark symbol of dissent within the solemnity of the funeral. The silence is deafening after the initial shock of the drawn weapon. Attendees are frozen, many ducking slightly, their eyes wide with fear and disbelief. Among the crowd, whispers start to bubble up, a mix of confusion and panic spreading through the ranks of both military personnel and civilians. General Thompson, despite the direct threat to his life, maintains his composure. His years of military training and experience in high-stress situations evident as he stands unwavering, his eyes locked on Richards. His voice, when he speaks again, carries a calm authority that is both deliberate and reassuring. "Officer Richards," Thompson says, his tone steady, "this is neither the time nor the place for such actions. Let us resolve this peacefully." Richards' hand trembles slightly, the weight of his decision manifesting physically. His face is a mask of inner turmoil, torn between his impulses and the gravity of the situation unfolding in front of him. The cemetery, a place meant for remembrance and peace, now echoes with the tense standoff. Suddenly, from the crowd, Captain Lisa Warren, a close colleague of General Thompson and a seasoned negotiator, steps forward. Her uniform crisply in place, she approaches Richard slowly, her hands raised slightly in a universal sign of peace. "John, think about what you're doing," she urges softly, her voice a contrast to the heavy silence. "This isn't you. Put the gun down and let's talk this through." Richards hesitates, his gaze flickering between Thompson and Warren. His breathing is heavy, each breath visible in the crisp air. The conflict within him is evident, his grip on the gun wavering as he processes Warren's words. Meanwhile, trained snipers and security personnel, hidden among the tombstones, have their sights trained on Richards, ready to act on a moment's notice. The command to hold fire hangs in the balance, contingent on Richards' next move. In the background, a military chaplain begins to pray quietly, his words barely audible but resonant, invoking a plea for peace and reason to prevail. Some family members of the deceased start to sob softly, their cries adding a haunting layer to the tense atmosphere. Richard's eyes soften momentarily, the first sign of doubt creeping into his previously resolute demeanor. He looks around, seeing the fear and shock on the faces of the crowd, the respect they still hold for General Thompson, and the hopeful expression on Captain Warren's face. The scene ends on a cliffhanger, with Richard still holding the gun, but his resolve weakening. The outcome remains uncertain, the tension palpable, as all await his decision in the heart of Arlington Cemetery, under the watchful eyes of history and the souls of the fallen. In the lingering tension of Arlington Cemetery, the standoff reaches a crucial moment. Officer John Richards, visibly conflicted, continues to hold his weapon, but the firmness in his grip is noticeably lessening. His eyes, filled with a tumult of emotions, scan the silent crowd that has now become an audience to his crisis of conscience. Captain Lisa Warren takes another cautious step towards Richards. Her approach is gentle, almost imperceptible, as she continues to engage him with her calming presence. "John, no one here wants to see this end badly. We all want to help you through this," she reassures him, her voice steady and soothing. As Warren speaks, Richards's gaze shifts towards the flag-draped casket of Colonel Benjamin Strauss, reminding him of the solemnity and sacredness of the occasion. The stark reminder of duty and sacrifice visibly impacts him, creating a noticeable change in his demeanor. His hand lowers slightly, the gun no longer directly aimed at General Thompson. General Thompson, seizing the moment of Richards's hesitation, adds his voice to the effort, his tone authoritative yet empathetic. "John, let's honor his memory by resolving this peacefully. You have the power to choose how this story ends." Around them, the military personnel and civilians hold their collective breath, the tension palpable but tinged with a growing sense of hope as Richards appears to waver in his resolve. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, every movement scrutinized, every whisper echoing across the quiet grounds. Suddenly, a young private, who had served under Richards and respected him, breaks ranks and approaches slowly. "Sergeant Richards, you taught us to be better than this," he says quietly, his voice carrying a weight that belies his youth. "You taught us the meaning of honor." This personal appeal, coming from a figure of Richards's own legacy, seems to pierce through his final defenses. After a tense, prolonged moment, Richards's shoulders slump, the fight draining from him. With a trembling hand, he finally lowers the gun completely, surrendering it to Captain Warren, who carefully takes it with a sigh of profound relief. The scene shifts focus as Richards is gently led away, not with the harshness of an arrest, but with the support of those who still see the man beyond the moment, emphasizing themes of redemption and understanding. Warren and the young private escort him, providing silent solidarity. As Richards departs from the scene, General Thompson addresses the gathered crowd, his voice resonant with the gravity of the moment but also with compassion. "Today, we've seen the best and the hardest of what it means to be part of this community. Let us move forward with a commitment to support each other and to remember that every day gives us a chance to choose who we want to be." The camera pans out slowly, capturing the crowd as they begin to disperse, the normal sounds of the ceremony resuming, but the mood has irrevocably changed. People exchange looks of relief, sorrow, and contemplation, deeply affected by the day's events. The scene closes with a poignant shot of the flag on Colonel Strauss's casket, gently fluttering in the breeze, a symbol of the enduring values that ultimately guided the resolution of the day's crisis. This visual serves as a powerful reminder of the ideals that bind and guide, even in moments of profound discord. In the serene aftermath of a tumultuous day at Arlington Cemetery, General Michael Thompson remains as most attendees have left. The scene is quiet, marked only by the soft evening light that bathes the rows of white tombstones in a gentle glow. Thompson, carrying the weight of the day's events, walks slowly through the cemetery, each step measured, reflecting on the near tragedy and the heavy responsibilities that come with his role. Accompanying him is Captain Lisa Warren, whose actions earlier were crucial in de-escalating the crisis. Together, they stroll through the tranquil grounds, their conversation silent but visibly significant. This quiet moment allows both leaders to digest the events and ponder the implications for their community. As they walk, they pause at a section of the cemetery dedicated to soldiers lost in recent conflicts. Here, General Thompson stops to touch a tombstone, his gesture one of respect and remembrance, a silent tribute to the sacrifices made by his troops. This moment underscores his deep connection to his role and the people under his command. The camera captures the reflective mood of the two leaders as they consider the day's impact. It's clear that the events have sparked a recognition of the need for dialogue within the military about mental health, leadership, and the pressures that service members face. The challenges are substantial, touching on PTSD, isolation, and the stigma that often surrounds mental health in military settings. As the day turns to dusk, Thompson and Warren conclude their reflective walk, their figures silhouetted against the setting sun. The day's crisis may have been resolved, but it has opened the door to important conversations that could lead to significant changes in how the military addresses these critical issues. The final shot widens to show the peaceful cemetery at twilight, a stark contrast to the day's earlier tension. This serene visual serves as a reminder of the ultimate sacrifices made by those at rest here and the ongoing challenges faced by those who continue to serve. The narrative closes on a note of contemplation, hinting at the transformative conversations and actions that lie ahead for the military community. As dawn breaks over the military base, a new day begins, filled with the hustle and bustle typical of military life, but underpinned by a new sense of purpose. General Michael Thompson is at the heart of this change, motivated by the previous day's events to take decisive action. In his office, early morning light streams through the windows, casting a glow on the files and reports that cover his desk, each a testament to the day's serious agenda. General Thompson has convened a crucial meeting with top military psychologists, chaplains, and personnel managers. The meeting's setup is unconventional, designed to encourage open dialogue. Chairs are arranged in a semicircle, creating an atmosphere of inclusivity and openness. Thompson begins the session with a clear message about the importance of a robust support system within the military, one that not only reacts to crises but also works proactively to prevent them. His voice, though unheard, carries a sense of urgency and commitment that resonates throughout the room. Simultaneously, the daily routines of the soldiers are interspersed with this narrative. These scenes provide a glimpse into the lives of those who serve, showing moments of interaction and solitude that highlight the complex emotional landscapes of military personnel. The base, usually a place of strict routine and discipline, now buzzes with a new kind of energy, one that fosters communication and shared experiences. Back in the meeting, a young officer steps forward to share a personal story, a powerful account of dealing with PTSD. This testimony underscores the critical need for the changes Thompson is advocating. The room listens in respectful silence, with Thompson providing a reassuring presence that validates the officer's bravery in speaking out. As the meeting wraps up, Thompson assigns specific tasks to different departments, laying out a comprehensive plan to implement new training programs focused on mental health awareness, enhance the availability of counseling services, and establish a peer support system. His leadership today is not just about giving orders but about inspiring action and ensuring these plans materialize into real benefits for the troops. The scene closes with Thompson alone in his office, gazing out the window at the soldiers below. This moment of solitude reflects his resolve and the responsibility he feels towards his troops. He is determined that the momentum gained today will not be lost, a commitment mirrored in his contemplative demeanor. The camera slowly pulls away from the window, capturing the expanse of the base bathed in the morning light. The base itself, sprawling and alive with activity, stands as a symbol of potential and renewal, illustrating the hope that with the right support and leadership, change is not only possible but imminent. The final shot, wide and encompassing, leaves a lasting impression of a community on the cusp of transformation, poised to face its challenges with renewed vigor and support. As the sun sets, bathing the military base in a golden hue, the day winds down, but the implications of the new initiatives linger in the air. Soldiers shift from their daytime duties to evening leisure, engaging in basketball, reading, and social calls, creating a relaxed atmosphere that belies the significant discussions earlier in the day. In a cozy, informal setting around a fire pit, a group of soldiers, including the young officer who earlier shared his personal struggles, gathers. Their laughter and casual banter gradually give way to a more serious discussion about the changes announced by General Thompson. The soldiers, reflecting a mix of hope and skepticism, openly discuss how these initiatives might transform their daily routines and long-term careers, emphasizing the real impact of policy on personal lives. General Thompson, seeking solitude, walks through the base. His route takes him past family residences, where he observes the everyday lives of his personnel, reminding him of the broad impact of his leadership decisions. His contemplative mood reflects a deep understanding of the responsibilities he bears, not just in operational terms but in the welfare of his troops and their families. Simultaneously, Captain Lisa Warren is in her quarters, composing a letter to a fellow officer at another base. She describes the day's pivotal events and her involvement, articulating hopes and detailing the challenges ahead. Her narration of the letter provides a personal perspective on the broader narrative, connecting her individual experiences to the communal impact of the day's decisions. The scene closes with a peaceful night view of the base under the stars, the camera pulling back to reveal a tranquil setting that metaphorically represents the stability and support General Thompson aims to foster. This panoramic night scene ties the personal reflections and broader implications together, illustrating the profound influence of leadership decisions on individual lives and the overall community. This visual, combined with reflective narration, underscores the narrative's themes of change, support, and the interconnectedness of military life. As dawn breaks over the military base, the early light reveals a scene of revitalized activity and change. General Michael Thompson stands on his office balcony, watching the base come to life. Below, soldiers participate in their morning physical training, which now includes sessions focused on mental resilience and teamwork. These sessions, led by military psychologists, are part of the new initiatives that General Thompson has championed to improve mental health awareness among the troops. The base itself reflects these changes, with posters promoting new mental health support programs prominently displayed. Soldiers engage openly in conversations about mental wellness, a testament to the diminishing stigma around such discussions, facilitated by the policy changes implemented under General Thompson's leadership. Later in the morning, General Thompson, accompanied by Captain Lisa Warren and other key personnel, heads to the newly established Wellness Center. This facility is the cornerstone of the new initiatives, equipped with counseling resources, stress management workshops, and support services designed to support a healthier environment for all personnel. The official opening of the Wellness Center begins with a ribbon-cutting ceremony, attended by a crowd of military personnel who applaud the new beginnings. General Thompson, in his address to the crowd, underscores the importance of vigilance and continuous adaptation to ensure the effectiveness of these changes. His words resonate with the attendees, reinforcing his commitment to the well-being of his troops and inspiring them with his dedication. After the ceremony, General Thompson takes a moment to appreciate the impact of his efforts. He interacts with his troops, now not just as their commander but also as their advocate and supporter, demonstrating his approachable and compassionate leadership style. This interaction highlights the cultural shift on the base, emphasizing the general's role in fostering a supportive and open environment. The final scene pulls back to show the entire base, busy and vibrant, symbolizing the successful integration of the new health initiatives. The base, once a strict symbol of military discipline, now also stands as a beacon of progressive change, showcasing the positive outcomes of addressing mental health head-on. The narrative concludes with a reflection on the transformative journey led by General Thompson, underscoring the broader shift within the military towards recognizing the strength in compassion and support. The scene fades out on a hopeful note, leaving the audience with a sense of optimism about the future of military life, where well-being and support are as integral as discipline and strength.